Have you ever noticed how worry works? It sneaks in at night, keeps you awake, and whispers 1,000 scenarios of what if. You lie there imagining every possible outcome, most of which will never even happen. Worry promises control, but it only steals your peace. And yet the truth is this: while you are worrying, heaven is already working. Worry is one of the most subtle yet destructive thieves of life. It does not storm into your world loudly, but rather creeps in quietly, wrapping itself around your thoughts until it feels normal to carry anxiety day after day. Yet its effect is devastating, for worry robs you of the peace that you were meant to enjoy. Every moment spent in worry is a moment stolen from your joy. Worry convinces you that by replaying problems in your mind, you are somehow preparing for them, but in truth, it adds nothing to your tomorrow. Instead, it empties today of its strength. Think about it. Has worry ever solved a problem for you? Has lying awake at night, replaying conversations, or fearing outcomes ever changed anything in your favor? The reality is, worry does not alter your circumstances. It only alters you. It leaves you drained, distracted, and defeated before the actual battle has even begun. Worry is like paying interest on a debt you do not owe. It takes from you in advance without ever giving back. When you surrender to worry, you live in a constant state of tension, robbing yourself of laughter, rest, and the simple joys of the present moment. What makes worry so dangerous is that it deceives you into believing it is necessary. You tell yourself, I don't worry, I won't be ready. But readiness does not come from endless mental rehearsals of what could go wrong. Readiness comes from peace, clarity, and faith. A worried mind cannot make wise decisions because it is too clouded with fear and doubt. A worried heart cannot enjoy blessings because it is always waiting for them to be taken away. Worry blinds you to what you have, it magnifies what you lack. It steals contentment from your present by dragging you into imaginary futures that may never even come to pass. Imagine two people walking a journey. One carries only what is necessary, traveling light and steady. The other drags along bags filled with stones labeled, what if, maybe, suppose, and I'm afraid. The second person moves slower, grows weary faster, and has no energy left to enjoy the scenery. That is exactly what worry does to your soul. Life was never meant to be carried under that kind of weight. Peace is light. Worry is heavy. Peace allows you to walk with strength. Worry drains you before you've even taken your first step. Even science confirms what faith has long taught. Worry impacts your physical health. It disrupts sleep, raises blood pressure, weakens the immune system, and creates tension in your body. It is not only an emotional thief, but a physical one too. Many lives shorter, less joyful lives, not because of actual problems, but because of the weight of imagined ones. Your body was not designed to live under constant anxiety. You were made to rest in trust, to breathe freely, and to face tomorrow with strength, not exhaustion. The truth is, worry often comes from an illusion of control. Deep down, we want to believe that if we think about something enough, we can control its outcome. But worry is not control. It is fear disguised as preparation. Letting go of worry is not careless living. It is choosing to trust that life is not meant to be carried on your shoulders alone. It is the recognition that peace is not found in having everything figured out, but in releasing the need to. Every time worry rises, you have a choice. You can allow it to steal your peace, or you can resist it with trust. The next time you feel that anxious thought creeping in, pause and remind yourself, this moment is a gift. I refuse to let worry rob me of it. You may not know the details of tomorrow, but you can choose to live fully today. And when you choose peace over worry, you discover a strength that worry could never give you. The strength to face whatever comes with joy still intact. Faith is not a struggle, it is a resting place. It is the decision to lay down the burdens you were never designed to carry and to step into the security of knowing that you are held, guided, and provided for. Life often convinces us that everything depends on us, our planning, our strength, our ability to figure things out. But the weight of that responsibility is too heavy for any human soul. You were not created to carry the world on your shoulders. Faith invites you to release that load and rest in the assurance that you are not alone in the journey. When you think about it, so much of our stress comes from trying to control outcomes that are beyond us. We replay scenarios in our heads, attempting to predict every detail, as if by worrying or planning harder, we could control the uncontrollable. But control is an illusion. No matter how carefully you map your future, unexpected events will arise. No matter how strong you believe you are, life will place things in front of you that are beyond your ability to fix. That is where faith steps in, not as weakness, but as wisdom. Faith says, I know my limits, and I know the one who has no limits. I will rest in his strength, not my own. Trust is not passive resignation. It is active surrender. It is not about giving up. It is about giving over. There is a difference between throwing your hands up in despair and opening your hands in trust. Despair says, I can't handle this, and I'm doomed. Trust says, I can't handle this, but I don't have to. The weight was never yours to bear. Faith is the resting place where your heart finds freedom from the constant pressure to control, predict, and perform. Consider a child who falls asleep in a car seat. That child is not worried about the direction the car is heading or whether the driver knows the way. The child rests in complete confidence because they trust the one behind the wheel. That is the picture of faith. It is not restlessness, but rest. It is not anxious effort, but quiet assurance. It is the ability to face the unknown without fear because you know the one who knows all. Living without this kind of faith leaves you exhausted. Many people are weary not because of the size of their challenges, but because of the size of the load they insist on carrying alone. They try to be their own provider, their own protector, their own guide, and the constant effort drains their peace. Faith calls you to put those weights down. It reminds you that your worth is not found in how well you carry burdens, but in how freely you can hand them over. The strongest people are not those who push through with clenched fists, but those who learn to rest with open hands. Faith as a resting place does not mean that life will be free of problems. It means that in the midst of problems, your soul remains steady. The storms may come, but you are not shaken because you trust in something greater than the storm. You stop asking, what if I can't? And start declaring, I know he can. This shift removes the pressure from your heart and replaces it with peace. Suddenly, the unknown no longer feels like a threat, but an opportunity to see faith at work. The beauty of this resting faith is that it transforms how you live daily. You begin to walk lighter, smile more freely, and breathe more deeply. The constant inattention begins to loosen because you no longer cling to what was never meant to be in your grasp. You accept your role not as the fixer of all things, but as the one who trusts the one who fixes all things. That acceptance is where freedom lies. So today, picture every burden you've been carrying. Fear about the future, anxiety about finances, worries about health, or pressure to succeed. Now imagine handing each one over saying, this was never mine to carry. That is faith. It is not about striving harder, but about resting deeper. It is not about being strong enough, but about trusting the one who already is. Faith is the resting place your soul has been searching for. And when you choose it, you step out of the exhausting cycle of worry and into the peace you were always meant to enjoy. One of the greatest truths you can embrace is this: long before you even recognize the problem, the solution was already in place. Life has a way of catching us off guard. A sudden crisis, a closed door, an unexpected challenge, and instantly worry begins to rise in our minds. We imagine all the possible scenarios, we scramble for answers, and we feel overwhelmed by the uncertainty. Yet, while we are worrying about the unknown, God has already gone ahead of us. He is never surprised by what surprises us. He sees the end from the beginning, and He has already prepared a way through what looks impossible. Think about the comfort that brings. When you feel surrounded by uncertainty, you are not standing in a place God has not already walked. He has gone before you into that job interview you're nervous about. He has already been in tomorrow's meeting, in the doctor's office where you will sit, in the conversation you fear you might have, where you see, oh no, He sees completed. What you view as a mystery, He views as a finished story. This truth changes everything, because it reminds you that life is not unfolding chaotically, it is unfolding under His sovereign care. Worry is rooted in the illusion that everything is up to us. We believe that if we don't figure it out, the problem will consume us. But trust says, this is not new to God. Every situation you will ever face has already been measured and accounted for in His plan. He is never scrambling, never behind schedule, and never unprepared. Even when things seem delayed to you, they are on time to Him. The closed door you thought was rejection was His way of steering you to the right opportunity. The setback you thought would destroy you was a setup for something greater. Consider how often in life you've looked back and realized that what once terrified you was already under control. You can recall moments when you thought, I don't know how I'll ever get through this. And yet, here you are. The provision showed up. The answer came. The strength arrived when you needed it most. That is not coincidence. That is evidence of God working ahead of you. Just as a parent prepares meals for their children before hunger strikes, God prepares your path before the need ever arises. This truth frees you from the trap of constant fear. If He is already ahead of you, why waste energy imagining the worst? Why torment yourself with what ifs when the one who holds tomorrow has already been there? Trusting this truth allows you to live with peace in the present, because you understand that every unseen detail is already being worked out. While you are trying to piece together the puzzle, He has already completed the picture. Sometimes the hardest seasons are not about God being silent, but about Him being strategic. He is aligning people, opportunities, and resources in ways you cannot yet see. Just because you don't have the answer in your hand does not mean it doesn't exist. It means it is being prepared in the background. And when the timing is right, it will unfold in a way so precise that you'll know only He could have orchestrated it. So today, instead of asking, what if it doesn't work out? Begin declaring, it's already worked out. Instead of pacing in fear, rest in assurance. The road ahead may look uncertain, but it is not uncharted. You are not stepping into the unknown. You are stepping into the already prepared. Worry fades when you realize the weight of tomorrow is not yours to carry. Peace rises when you trust that every step has already been ordered and every detail already secured. The next time worry creeps in, remind yourself, while you are looking at the problem, God is looking at the solution. While you are imagining disaster, He is arranging deliverance. While you are losing sleep, He is working while you rest. You are not walking into uncertainty, You are walking into a future where the answer already exists. Trust this, and you will discover that the unknown is not a place of fear, but a place of faith, because God is always ahead of you. Every burden in your life, no matter how heavy, carries with it a hidden promise. The very weight that makes you feel crushed is the same weight that can lead you to discover how deeply you are cared for and how completely you are sustained. Life is full of responsibilities, pressures, and challenges that often feel too much for one person to bear. Financial concerns, family struggles, health battles, uncertainty about the future. Each one has the power to overwhelm if carried alone. But the truth is this: what overwhelms you is already under divine control. The weight that bends your shoulders never bends his. The pressure that breaks your sleep never breaks his plan. The beauty of burdens is that they remind us of our limits. Without them, we might convince ourselves that we are self-sufficient, capable of carrying life's weight on our own. But when the load grows too heavy, we are invited to lean on a strength greater than ours. This is the hidden promise in every burden, that you were never meant to carry it alone. The very moment you feel crushed is the moment you are closest to discovering the faithfulness of the one who carries all things with ease. When you look at life difficulties, they often appear like mountains blocking your path. You stand before them wondering how you will ever move forward. But mountains are not obstacles to the one who spoke the earth into being. They are merely stepping stones in the landscape he designed. To you, the burden looks immovable. To him, it is already shifted. The promise is not that you will never face hardship, but that no hardship can defeat you when placed in his hands. Think about how many times in your past you thought, "I can't handle this," and yet you made it through. Those were not moments of your strength, they were moments of divine intervention. Each burden you carried became a testimony of deliverance. What once overwhelmed you now serves as proof that you are not abandoned, that you are sustained. This is the promise woven into your struggles, that every burden becomes a story of breakthrough when surrendered. It is easy to see burdens only as problems, but they are also invitations. They invite you to trust deeper, to pray harder, to let go sooner. They remind you that your life is not held together by your effort alone. Every burden whispers the same truth. You are not in control, but the one who loves you is. And if he is in control, then what weighs you down today will be the very thing that lifts you tomorrow. Some burdens even carry promises of transformation. They shape your character, build your patience, and deepen your compassion. When you walk through something heavy, you come out not only stronger for yourself, but softer toward others. You learn to comfort those in pain because you know what pain feels like. You learn to encourage the weary because you remember being weary. The promise inside the burden is not only for you, it is for everyone your life will touch. The overwhelming feelings that come with burdens are real, but they are not final. The control you think you lack is not missing, it has simply never been yours to hold. The one who sees the end from the beginning has already secured the outcome. What seems like chaos to you is order to him. What feels like confusion to you is clarity to him. The promise is that no matter how heavy the load, it will not crush you, because it rests in the hands of one who cannot fail. So when you feel the weight pressing down, don't just see the burden, see the promise it carries. Let it remind you that you are not abandoned in your struggle. Let it teach you that what is too heavy for you is never too heavy for him. Hand it over, release your grip, and watch the burden transform into blessing. Every weight you surrender becomes a testimony, and every burden you release becomes proof that you are carried. What overwhelms you today is already under His control. That is the promise. And if you can believe it, you can face every burden not with fear, but with hope, knowing that the weight on your shoulders will soon become the testimony on your lips. Your role in this life is surrender, not struggle. From the time we are young, we are taught that effort and control will solve every problem, that pushing harder will eventually break down the wall in front of us. Yet the longer we live, the more we discover that there are battles we cannot win with force, answers we cannot produce with logic, and outcomes we cannot dictate with effort. The human instinct is to wrestle, to keep replaying the what ifs in our minds, as if worrying harder will create a solution. But all that endless struggling does is leave us weary, anxious, and drained of peace. True strength does not come from fighting every battle alone. It comes from releasing the fight into hands greater than yours. Surrender does not mean defeat. It means trust. It is the posture of letting go, not because you are careless, but because you are cared for. Struggle keeps you tied to the illusion that everything depends on you. Surrender frees you to rest in the truth that you are never walking alone. When you surrender, you are not quitting the journey. You are simply choosing to walk with guidance instead of wandering in fear. The one who surrenders is not weaker, but wiser, because they know where their help comes from. The endless cycle of what ifs is one of the greatest traps of the mind. What if I fail? What if I lose? What if they leave? What if the worst happens? These questions are chains that bind your thoughts to fear instead of faith. They pull you away from peace and lock you in prisons of anxiety. But most of the what ifs we torment ourselves with never come true. We waste precious energy on shadows of possibilities while missing the light of the present moment. Surrender silences the what ifs by replacing them with even if. Even if it doesn't go the way I planned, I will still be sustained. Even if the path changes, I will still be led. Even if I face loss, I will not be lost. Struggle demands answers before it rests. Surrender finds rest even without answers. Struggle says, I will not be at peace until I know how this will end. Surrender says, I can be at peace now because I trust who holds the ending. Struggle drains your energy because it keeps you fighting battles you were never meant to fight. Surrender restores your energy because it hands those battles to the one who has already overcome them. Think of a person caught in a raging river. The instinct is to thrash, to fight against the current with all their might. But often, the more they fight, the more exhausted they become. Survival comes not by struggling against the current, but by surrendering to the water and letting it carry them until they reach safety. Life is much the same. The more you thrash against what you cannot control, the more drained you become. But when you surrender, you discover that you are being carried to exactly where you need to be. Surrender does not erase responsibility, it reshapes it. Your role is to do what you can with faithfulness, but not to carry the weight of what you cannot control. There is wisdom in preparing, planning, and working diligently, but there is also wisdom in knowing when to release the outcome. Struggle keeps you awake at night, trying to rewrite the future in your head. Surrender lets you sleep, knowing the future is already written. This shift from struggle to surrender is not always easy, but it is always freeing. It requires humility to admit that you don't have all the answers, but it also opens the door to peace you could never achieve on your own. Every time you surrender, you choose trust over fear, peace over panic, rest over exhaustion. And slowly, you discover that surrender is not losing the fight, it is stepping into victory without having to exhaust yourself trying to win it. So stop replaying the what ifs that chain your mind. Let go of the need to figure everything out. Lay down the burden of control you were never meant to carry. Your role is not to struggle endlessly, but to surrender completely. When you do, you will find a freedom and peace that struggle could never give you. Surrender is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of truly living it. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of trust. It is the calm that fills your heart when you decide that worry will not have the final word. Life offers endless opportunities to be anxious. Bills arrive, health wavers, relationships strain, plans unravel, and the future feels uncertain. Left unchecked, worry becomes the background noise of every thought. But peace is the proof that you have chosen a different way. It is the evidence that you have handed over the weight you were never meant to carry. When you stop worrying, you are not ignoring reality. You are making space for miracles to unfold. Worry demands control. It whispers that if you think about the problem long enough, you might find the answer. It convinces you that rehearsing every scenario somehow prepares you for the unknown. But in truth, worry prepares you for nothing. It only exhausts you. Peace, on the other hand, is not passive. It is an active decision to trust that what overwhelms you is already under higher control. Peace says, I don't know how this will work out, but I know I am not abandoned in it. That posture creates a space inside you for unexpected solutions, fresh opportunities, and divine timing to operate. Miracles rarely manifest in frantic hearts. Anxiety clouds vision, distorts perspective, and drains energy. But peace clears the mind, softens the spirit, and opens the eyes to possibilities that fear blinds you from seeing. When you are at peace, you notice doors you would have missed in panic. You hear wisdom that worry would have drowned out. You find strength you thought was gone because peace unlocks resilience that anxiety hides. Peace makes you receptive to the answers already prepared for you. Think about it like soil. A heart filled with worry is like rocky, dry ground where nothing can take root. But a heart at peace is fertile soil where seeds of breakthrough can grow. Peace makes you ready to receive. It aligns your spirit with expectation rather than dread. And expectation is the atmosphere where miracles are born. When you stop filling your inner space with what ifs, you leave room for what is possible. Peace is also contagious. When others see you calm in chaos, it inspires faith in them. It shows that your trust is not in circumstances, but in something greater. This calmness influences how you respond, and often it influences how others around you respond. Instead of spreading panic, you spread steadiness. Instead of escalating fear, you anchor faith. And in that environment, miracles can unfold not just for you, but for those connected to you. Choosing peace does not mean you have all the answers. It means you know who does. It does not mean you won't feel pressure. It means the pressure won't control you. It is possible to stand in the middle of the storm and still be still inside. That inner stillness becomes your greatest strength. The waves may roar, the winds may blow, but peace says, I will not be moved because I trust the one who holds the storm. Every time you choose peace over worry, you are declaring your trust. You are telling your heart that fear does not rule you, and you are telling heaven that you are ready for what is next. Peace is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the refusal to let circumstances dictate your spirit. It is the assurance that while you cannot see the full picture, the one who painted it has not finished yet. So let peace be your proof. Let it be the evidence that you trust even when you do not understand. Let it be the quiet anchor in a noisy world. When you choose peace, you are not just calming your heart. You are creating space for the miraculous to unfold. Worry builds walls, peace opens doors. And when doors open, miracles walk in. Worry has never solved a single problem, but trust has carried countless lives through storms. Every burden you face carries a hidden promise. What feels overwhelming to you is already under His control. While you lie awake imagining the worst, He has already gone ahead and prepared the solution. The delays that frustrate you are not signs of abandonment, but proof of divine timing. Your role is not to struggle endlessly, but to surrender daily, to stop replaying the what ifs and start leaning into His care. Peace becomes your evidence that you trust. It is the quiet proof that your heart has released control into greater hands. And in that peace, miracles find space to unfold. You do not have to fight for every answer, force every door, or fear every tomorrow. The one who carries the universe has not forgotten you. He sees, He knows, and He is already at work on your behalf. So today, make the choice that changes everything. Release worry and embrace trust. Refuse to let fear rob you of joy and rest. Stand in the calm assurance that you are not alone and never have been. Tomorrow is not yours to manage. It is already secured. All you need to do is walk in the peace that proves your trust, knowing that every burden, every challenge, and every unknown is already under control. Stop worrying. Rest in this truth. Everything you are about today has already been handled. And when you truly believe that, you will find the courage to live freely, the strength to face tomorrow, and the joy of knowing that your life is being carried in hands that never fail.